Hey, what's up everybody? This is LegendJeremy. Well, if you haven't heard, Blizzard has just announced that there's going to be some upcoming balance changes to Hearthstone. So a couple cards are getting changed, and I'd like to just kind of go over a couple thoughts with you on them. Overall, I am very happy with these nerfs. And let's go over them one by one, and then I want to just kind of end with some general advice on what to do regarding disenchanting on the nerfs, just so you can get the most amount of dust value when these nerfs take place. So stay tuned for that at the end. But anyways, let's go over them one by one. So the very first one is Rockbiter. Rockbiter is a little bit surprising, to be honest. The Rockbiter is really the major problem comes in when it's Rockbiter plus Doomhammer. I think Doomhammer is actually the more overpowered one as opposed to Rockbiter, but Rockbiter is just a little bit more versatile. The most popular mid-range shaman right now, a lot of it just runs Spirit Claws and doesn't even run Rockbiter. But I don't know. I mean, basically, I think placing it at 2 mana now, up from 1 mana. I'm not sure if that okay. So basically, if you're a face shaman and you run double double Doomhammer, you're still playing this card. It's still going into your deck. The extra mana cost won't be a deterrent. However, if you don't play Doomhammer, I think this probably will get cut, or at least you'll go down from running 2 copies to 1. It's basically the comparable would be Frostbolt or Dark Bomb, which both deal 3 damage or Quick Shot, and are 2 mana, but they don't. You're not having to take any face damage. Or minion damage, whereas with this, you do. So it's worse than those. So that's why I don't really think. I think people would rather run Lightning Bolt, or pretty much Lightning Bolt is the easiest replacement. Although some decks run both of them. So anyways, I think you're going to probably see this get cut from mid-range shaman, or at least go down from 2 copies to 1. Aggro shaman that runs double Doomhammer will still see it in play. It won't affect it at all. I don't know if it was really necessarily. Like I said, I think that I really wish they would have went after Doomhammer as opposed to Rockbiter, but it is what it is. Tusk Totemic. So instead of getting any random totem, you're going to get a random basic totem. So this is protection against things like Totem Golem or Manatide Totem, and the ones that give extra attack or draw a card. And when those came out of Tuskar, man, that was it was really tough, because then you have 2 things to remove, and often the totem is just provides so much value, or immediate value, in the fact of being able to buff current minions on the board or drawing a card immediately. So I am very happy with this change. I think this brings it down quite significantly. This is another card where I think is going to get cut from mid-range shaman. The only decks that are still going to run this are going to be decks that use like a totem shaman or an evolve shaman, to where you're just looking for more minions on the board. Now, the only real value besides getting an extra totem, which is usually not that much value, is the fact you're still making Thing from Below 1 less. But I don't think that's enough to keep this in a mid-range shaman. So that's not a deck I really play. I'll leave that up to the expert builders who tinker with that deck. But I do think this is going to get cut from mid-range shaman, but you still will see it in evolve shaman. Call of the Wild. I love this change. I'm a big fan of Hybrid Hunter. I run double Call of the Wild in that deck. It's extremely powerful card, and I think this is an excellent balance change, because it takes it. 9 mana just kind of gives another turn. It's more fairly valued, but also the fact that if you played it on turn 10, you're not able to Call the Wild plus hero power on the same turn. I think that's important as well. So I think that this will not get cut from Hybrid Hunter. I still think people are going to run it. I'm not planning on cutting it. I'm still going to run 2 copies of it, but it is more fair, less overpowered. So thumbs up on this change. I think we're still going to see it just as much, though. Execute. Very similar. Control Warrior will still run double execute. It is not going to remove it. It just makes it a little more fair. I don't mind this. I mean, execute I didn't think was a huge problem. Although, I mean, whenever you play a Control Warrior, like, okay, I'm going to play Dr. 4, I'm going to play this big minion, you just know it's going to get removed with an easy execute. I don't think that's really going to change, but you know that he might not have the mana for it, depending on what else he needs to play. So I like this change. It's not bad. I didn't really think it was really necessary, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So it will get played in all types of defensive warrior decks. Charge. I absolutely love this. So they've made this card completely unplayable. No one is going to play it anyway in any deck. It's just garbage. But I think it was necessary because the OTK decks that can do 30 plus damage on one turn, those are the worst thing for Hearthstone. It just needs to be completely removed from the game. So I don't think you should be able to do 30 damage plus in one turn. And so this completely takes out like the OTK warrior. People were adding this to the giants to make that have charge as well. So I'm really glad to see this happen, and I'm glad it's gone. Abusive Sergeant is another surprising nerf. If I was going to make a list of the most overpowered cards, which are kind of, taking its toll, I would not put Abusive Sergeant anywhere near the top of the list. I think this nerf, I don't really think it was necessary. I really don't. But I do think that this has moved it to the unplayable. I think Abusive Sergeant will not see play. Now, why do I say that? Because another card was nerfed in not the last set, but the set of nerfs before, Leper Gnome, and it was very similar in that it was a 2/1 with a death rattle that deals 2 damage, very popular in like aggro shaman and face hunters, and it got nerfed down to a 1/1, and it completely went away. No one played it. Now, the thing is that Leper Gnome is more powerful than this card, because with Leper Gnome, you're guaranteed to get the 2 damage in from the death rattle, whereas with Abusive Sergeant, you need to have a minion in play to get that extra 2 damage. And I find, for example, when I play, right now I'm playing it in my Hybrid Hunter deck, I am playing this, to kind of to buff up Grandmother or something like that. But a lot of times I'm having to play it on turn 1 with nothing on the board. I don't play Zoo, so I'm not sure if it's going to get cut from Zoo, but I suspect it may. But anyways, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that this is going to get cut from a lot of decks. I don't expect Abusive Sergeant to be a staple in a lot of aggro decks. I think it will get replaced with something else, especially when we get a new set and there'll be new 1-drops in that. I'm sure there'll be something that takes its place. So Abusive Sergeant, I don't think we're going to see much of anymore. Yogg-Saron. Now, this is the biggie. This is the one that everybody, especially those who follow the tournament scene and the extra competitive scene, have been looking for a change for some time. And I thought it needed a change as well. I mean, it has just can swing a game from where a person is losing and has no chance to where they're in ahead. So there needed to be a change. So it stays the same stats, but the main change is that if it gets hexed or transformed in any way, silenced or returned to hand, it will stop the spells. So there still won't be a bunch of spells cast. I love that change. I think it's excellent, but it's also moved it to, I think, unplayable range. Well, at least let me clarify. I think currently it's played in some forms of Control Warrior. I play it as well in my Control Warrior. It's played in Tempo Mage, and it's played in Druid. I think for Control Warrior and for Tempo Mage for sure, it's going to get cut. Druid, on the other hand, I don't think it's going to get. I think there's a chance it could still get played in Druid, and the reason I say that is because with Control Warrior, it already has effective removal and complete board clears. It has double brawl that's usually done. Tempo Mage doesn't always need board clears, but if they do, they have Flame Strike. Druid has no effective board clear, so it's Druid plays it for a board clear and sometimes for card draw as well. And the thing is that if Yogg, let's say, casts Doom or Twisting Nether, okay, the spells stop, I understand, but then you've also achieved what you were hoping to do usually, and that's have a board clear. So it still can achieve the effect it's looking for. Now, the other negative effect is if it gets transformed, if you hex it or you sheep it or something like that. But so you'd never want to cast Yogg on an empty board or where there's only like one other minion. But if you cast it on a board that is full or has a bunch of minions, you decrease the odds of it being transformed. So in that case, I still think people will at least keep trying it in Druid to see if it works. I think it still may be viable there, but Draw a Yogg is just finished being a staple in a lot of different decks, so I'd say it's going to be gone from most other decks. So overall, I am very happy with the changes, but now I want to explain what you need to be looking out for when this balance change takes effect on the next update. What they usually do is they have a time window where you can disenchant the cards that were nerfed at full dust value. So usually, like for example, with a legendary like Yogg-Saron, if you disenchanted it now, you will get 400 dust. If you disenchant it after the nerf, you will be able to disenchant it for the full 1600 dust. So it's always wise to disenchant all the ones that you think you might not play regularly, or that because you're going to get full value. So if you decide you want to play them later in the future, it's no difference. You know, you'll get the full cost for it. So I will be disenchanting Yogg-Saron. I made a golden of that, so I'll be definitely disenchanting that, and I don't know if I have goldens or regulars of the others. I have to actually check on it, but yeah, so you definitely want to disenchant anything that you think you're not going to play immediately. Go for the disenchant and either get something else or save it for a time where you want to craft it. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Thumbs up, Blizzard, on the changes. I'm really glad to see, they've kind of stopped the cycle of besides the one with charge, which I'm actually not mad at all. I'm glad they made it to a useless card, but everything else, they've kept it so that it's not like not absolutely destroyed and made it unplayable range. Blizzard has had a bad habit of that, with War Song Commander being the poster boy for unplayable cards, just over nerfing. And so I'm glad to see that they didn't do that. They just kind of made fair balance changes to most of them. And yeah, I thought they did a great job. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment below on your favorite nerfs, if you like them, if you agree or disagree. But yeah, it's a good day. Looking forward to when this change takes place. Anyways, guys, peace out. Thanks a lot for checking out this video.